independence, we would not have a constitution. We would not have freedom. The single greatest American ever. There were gentlemen with him, but there's only one who's the greatest. Now, why do I comment on this? We are here in the town of Washington, named after the greatest American ever. Today, the left says that the Declaration of Independence was terrible, that the Constitution is evil, that freedom in America is a fantasy, and that George Washington is the worst person ever. How did we get to this place today? Laurie Cardoza Moore is going to tell us how we got there. Laurie, you've done so much work. What is going on?
Dan, thank you for having me. It's a great honor to be here with all of you, with other great patriots, Americans who are fighting for our country. You know, it started almost a decade ago in a community called Franklin, Tennessee, Williamson County. If any of you are familiar with Williamson County, Tennessee, you know that Williamson County is one of the top 10 most conservative, Republican, evangelical, Christian communities in the country, top 10. And a parent called me, a member of our organization, pjtn.org, and said, Laurie, you'll never believe what we're teaching our children in Williamson County schools. She comes to me because our organization's mission is to educate Christians about their biblical responsibility to stand with our Jewish brethren, defend the state of Israel against the rise of global anti-Semitism. But as Dan mentioned about Washington, we don't teach our children the Judeo-Christian values anymore that our nation was founded upon. We don't teach them how Haym Salomon helped bankroll the American Revolution with George Washington. We leave those important components of history out. But when this parent brought me a textbook published by Pearson, now remember that name, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm going to give you a job after we're done with all this.
Pearson.
Pearson Publishers.
When this is done, you need to know what or who Pearson represents.
So Pearson, she brings me this textbook that had a quote that legitimized Palestinians blowing themselves up in a Jerusalem restaurant because they were waging a war against Israeli government policies and army actions. Not only that, but there was instructional materials that went along with that textbook. Well, of course, when I saw that, I was flabbergasted. How does that happen in a conservative community, a Christian Bible Belt community? It happens because we weren't paying attention. We thought we were sending our kids to school, and that surely the school board members, isn't that what we think? Surely the school board members are going to have the same values we have. No, ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you, because we went to work to get rid of that textbook, and I could not believe the resistance that we met. We ended up voting, the school board voted. We ended up mobilizing our community through our media campaign to get parents to show up at the next school board meeting because they were going to vote on whether that textbook was going or it was staying. Well, guess what? We were standing room only. You should have seen the look on the faces of the school board members. They were freaking out because, oh my gosh, nobody shows up at our school board meetings. Can I get a witness? Nobody knows what's going on. And every parent got up and said, we want this textbook out. I got up, had the audacity to say, you don't get rid of this textbook, we are removing you from office. And Dan, it was an election year. So I told everybody, we have to go to work. Well, you know what? They voted that night. They slapped the faces of the parents in that community, did not listen to them. They voted to keep that textbook in the schools. We went to work the next day as a community, and we mobilized. We found parents and citizens to run for office. That was April. By August, Election Day, 6 of the school board members that were up for re-election, they all came down. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of one parent speaking up. That's
Laurie,
how it happened.
So that was a great battle and a great victory in that battle. Did that end the war?
No. Of course not. That's little battles. You know, we have little battles before we actually win the war. So what happened was our state legislature, because we were getting national media attention, thank God Fox News picked up the story. And when they ran that story, we started hearing from parents and citizens all over the country. They were finding similar content as what we were finding. And I said, oh my gosh, we're in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. And I was saying back then, almost a decade ago, if we don't get rid of these textbooks, we're going to lose our country. Our children are going to turn against this constitutional republic. We wonder why we have chaos in the streets. Ladies and gentlemen, the state legislature started contacting us, begging us to come and testify in their hearings because they wanted to know what was going on. And you know what? We changed the laws in the state of Tennessee that year. Tennessee textbooks now have to be historically accurate, unbiased, and reflect the values of our communities.
So Laurie, there's anti-Semitism that you first found in these textbooks. And now we've got all kinds of crazy things being stated. What is going on with other textbooks? Educate us, because so many of us are so surprised to see the streets filled with rioters.
Yeah, great question, Dan. Ladies and gentlemen, when we started to dig into that textbook, I knew that if they had anti-Semitic, anti-Israel content, I knew what we were going to find. The anti-American, anti-Judeo-Christian, pro-China, pro-communism, pro-fascism, pro-socialism, anti-capitalism. No wonder. That's what we found, and we found that across this country because once we launched the campaign, when we started hearing from parents and citizens, they were sending me screenshots of the textbooks and the curriculum. And we were helping to mobilize these parents and citizens in their own communities across the country. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not a battle we're going to win overnight. We didn't get here overnight. It's been long. These plans have been long in the making. And the only way we're going to be able to challenge it is if we start showing up at our school board meetings. Wouldn't it be amazing? Even here, in this great state of Pennsylvania, if all of a sudden parents and citizens started showing up in the school board meetings. You know all the buzz would be about their school board members. They'll be asking, what's going on? Why are all these people showing up at our school board meetings? Well, there's one teacher I'm sure you all saw in Philadelphia recently, what he said. He was fretting on Twitter because he was afraid that the conservative parents in Philadelphia might actually tune in during COVID while he's doing his virtual classrooms and see him indoctrinating, that's his words, indoctrinating their children in the schools. This is Philadelphia. This is right here in your state. Please don't think that this is a problem relegated to Tennessee, Florida. Thank God President Trump is going to develop a commission on American patriotism on education.
Well, Laurie, you mentioned a word that I told everybody they would learn what this means. Pearson, right?
Oh.
What is Pearson?
Oh my gosh. Now this is the best part. Pearson Publishers, how many of you know Pearson? You've heard, maybe, little. Well, guess what? I didn't have Pearson textbooks, but Pearson Publishers is not a US-based textbook publishing company. They are British-based. Guess who their major shareholders are? Now, these are the investors. The major shareholders include the Islamist governments of Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Libya. We wonder why our kids are rioting in the streets. This is who's controlling the education. How about Common Core? Can I get a hand for Common Core? Who knows about Common Core? Do I hear a boo? Do I hear boo? Yeah, a lot of parents said that, but we were told, oh no, this is about higher standards. Really? You've dumbed down our children. Oh no, you don't. You're not taking our country. Because you know what, Pearson and Common Core, because remember, Common Core is the standards, the dumbing down standards, the Marxist agenda. Compliments of Mr. Globalist himself, Bill Gates. Now you're striking a nerve. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Gates came up with the concept of Common Core, and he brought Pearson in to be the delivery mechanism into our communities. Pearson owns, listen to this, Pearson owns 80% of the textbooks being used in our country today. And let me tell you their little secret. They're buying up all these smaller textbook publishing companies, but they're not changing their name. Why? Because they don't want Americans to find out, or our elected officials, to know that they have a monopoly on our children's education. And again, look at what's happening in the cities of our country. Our children have been convinced that America is not a great America. It's not a great country. We were raised to be patriots, ladies and gentlemen. And it is up to us, we the people. We have this propaganda because we the people weren't paying attention. The lefties, they knew all along. Governor DeSantis, you know, I met with Governor DeSantis when he was then Congressman DeSantis in Washington, D.C. I brought him the textbooks because I knew he cared about education. He cared about American civics. And I met with him in D.C., I brought him the textbooks, I showed him the examples, and he said to me in that meeting, I'm running for governor in Florida. If I win, I'm getting rid of Common Core. Done. And number two, I'm getting rid of these textbooks. Ladies and gentlemen, Florida is on her way.
Laurie, we're running out of time, but do you have one thing to tell everybody here? What can they do?
Great question. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. The most important thing that we can do is get educated. So please go to our website at pjtn.org. You've got your cell phones. Go to the website now. Sign up to get on the mailing list. We're going to be sending out alerts. We do have a chapter here in Pennsylvania. We are working to educate and activate the citizens across the state and across the country, actually, because November is looming large. This is the most important election. You hear it repeated over and over again. We are going to lose our constitutional republic if we don't. So go to the website, sign up. But one of the first most important things you can do is get educated. Go to your school board meetings. Call your school board member. How many of you know who your school board member is that represents you? Most people see only a couple of hands. Most of us don't know. But I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most important elections, all local elections. Look at the chaos again in the cities. Why is that happening? It's not happening because of Congress and the Senate. It's not happening because of the president. It's happening because of your mayor. It's happening because of your city council or your county commissioners. It's happening because of your governor. All politics is local. We cannot focus on the big, gold, shiny object and forget about what's happening locally because they affect our day-to-day lives. That's what you can do. And if you find content in your children's schools, in their textbooks, in their curriculum, if you're listening in, how many parents do we have right now with kids in the school system? We need for you to go butt into their virtual classrooms. Watch what's being taught to the kids and listen to what they're saying. And if you find anything, I want to hear from you. info@pjtn.org.
Laurie will get it done, no doubt.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.